Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I mean during this session, right, so feel free to raise questions, right? I have my colleague the Gui behind to issue out some swags, right? So if you have any questions, just feel free to participate, and then we can have a good discussion.
We'll get swags.
Yeah, if you ask questions, yes. Okay. If you ask questions, right, right, you'll get swags. Okay. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get it. Okay, so this is the agenda, very short. I like to keep it as interactive as possible, right? So not just me speaking, right? So just as mentioned, feel free to ask questions, and then yeah. Okay, so a little bit on who is Kong, right? For those who hasn't heard about Kong yet. So this is a little bit of introduction on who we are, right? We are founded in 2017, right? So we are only like about 7 years old. Right, 6 or 7 years old. Okay. And then of course Kong is like an API gateway, and then we have a large community who is using our tools right now, even in enterprise customers, right? A lot of them are actually open source. Okay. So we started off as open source, and of course we have the enterprise version, which of course is more suitable for enterprise who needed some additional support, some additional functions, right? So that's where the enterprise solution may suit them. Okay, so of course under enterprise solution, we also have a self-managed version and a managed version, right, called Connect. Of course, other than the gateway itself, we have two other products, which you might not have heard of, which is the Mesh solution. So it's something similar to Istio, if you have heard about it. So Mesh is another alternative in the market, right, if you are looking at a service mesh kind of solution. And then we have Insonia. So Insonia is like a API IDE tool, something similar to Postman. Okay, so these are three of the products which is under the Kong umbrella. And of course, we have some awards, right? So all of these awards, right, tells a lot. Because a company which is about 6 or 7 years old, we have gathered a lot of pace in the industry, and this accredits to what we are capable of. And yes, this is really hot off the press, right? This is released just a couple of weeks ago on the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and then we are actually a leader for the 4th consecutive year. Again, we are just a 6-year-old, 7-year-old company, and then we are able to achieve this, which is not an easy feat, right? And then also we are at the top right quadrant, right, alongside with the major players in the market, and then it speaks volumes on Kong being like a reliable gateway solution in the market. Right. So, okay, that's a little bit of introduction on Kong. So let's go into the technical details, right? So to understand more about it. So, we spoke about Kong being an API gateway solution. So that is primarily addressing the north-south traffic, right? Controlling API calls requests that's coming from usually external clients to internal systems. And that's where you need like a solution like an API gateway to manage this traffic that's coming into your internal systems, right? The north-south traffic. Of course, in our opinion, in Kong's opinion, we feel that APIs is the bread and butter of everything right now, right? Everything functions on APIs. So from our point of view, right, managing traffic is not the only piece of this full story. We have to make sure that we actually shift left. We have to have a solution which covers something from development all the way to publishing out to something that's consumable on the gateway. And then ultimately, when we are talking about not just north-south traffic, right, east-west traffic-wise, we also need a solution that to paint the overall API picture. So that is why this is where the products called Insonia come into play, where you start to develop your APIs, and then the idea of pushing it and making it available and managed, right, on the API gateway with the Kong gateway, and then of course internally, the east-west traffic is also can be managed by a service mesh solution. And then on top of that, all of these, right, can also be controlled in a single pane of glass on our SaaS solution called Kong Connect. Right, so this is like an overall view of how we view Kong or even API management, right, as a whole picture, holistic picture. Okay, so going into a little bit deeper on the mechanics of Kong. So this is Kong gateway architecture, right? So it's like very simple, open source solution, and then it comes in a binary that you can easily download and install. So this binary is only 30 megabytes. Now I think almost 40 megabytes big. And then the base of it is built on Nginx. Okay, so I think everyone knows about Nginx, right? So the base of it is Nginx. And then of course you have this open REST layer which does the translation to what we call the plugins, right? So these plugins are mainly written in Lua, right? So this open REST sort of works as a translator so that any plugins that we have on top of the Nginx is readable, right? By Nginx itself. And then being an API solution, all of the management, right, of API configuring Kong itself, we also have APIs to actually do the configuration for you. Okay, so all of these services, routes, consumers, I will touch on later, right? And of course, Kong Manager, which is the UI. Okay, the UI is something that is very important in terms of managing APIs because ultimately you have lots of services that you're going to manage. Right, so having a UI, which is something that we see, we have customers coming out to us, hey, we want to buy Kong Enterprise because we need a UI. Right, so this shows how important a UI is. And then it's actually available in this small but powerful single binary that you have. And then we also have declarative configuration, which allows you to easily manage Kong with a single YAML file. Okay, so all of this packed in this powerful 40 MB of binary that we have. And then of course, Kong can be installed in many environments, definitely including Azure. That's the point of today's session. Okay, so but beyond that, Kong is really cloud agnostic, right? You can easily install it anywhere, bare metal, virtual machines. Of course, we support installation of containers as well as Kubernetes. Right, we have all the assets, the images, the YAML manifest for you to do that. Okay, maybe I'll take a pause here for any questions. No questions? You get swag, so if you ask questions.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Azure, AWS, they are also providing API gateway.
Yeah.
So why we should go for Kong?
That's a good question. All right. So first of all, cloud agnostic, right? So I think the trend that we are seeing today, many organizations are adopting a multi-cloud approach. Okay. So that's where a cloud agnostic tool will be really, really helpful, right? I want a single tool for all my environments. I don't want to handle multiple tools. So that's one key thing. And of course, on top of that, the features we have are definitely more rich than those on the clouds. Right. Yep.
Any governance on the API gateway, they have to follow kind of standard come up.
Sorry, I didn't
Any
get
governance for the using the API gateway.
governance. You mean like security functions that we can perform? Yes, we do. I will show you later on in the demo one of the examples, right? Of course, we can do API management is a broad term, right? But security is one use case under management. But under management, we can do a lot more things, right? We can secure, we can control traffic, we can do some transformation, right, on the request, so on and so forth. Right, I will talk about it. But yeah, Kaho,
Yeah, it's regarding the recent CEE, the HTTP2 rapid reset.
Okay.
Is Kong affected?
Yes, we did release a patch recently on that. Yeah, it's patched already.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're really on the toes of that. Yeah, we did release a patch on it, to rectify that issue.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
Is it like API is you can do rate limiting all that stuff. Then also, if the customer wants charging mechanism, right? Say for example, based on the API consumption, they want to charge back or based on their consumption. So is it possible to platform?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think this is a very common use case by a lot of customers because API in fact is money, right? API is translates to money. So on Com itself, we have plugins with some of our billing partners to actually achieve that.
Is it like an additional thing we need to integrate, is it?
Some yes, we call it plugins. So I think yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So is there a different license? Like we need to buy Com and also package?
No. Once you are on Com Enterprise, you get unlocked all the
Is that able to
plugins.
self-hosted?
Yes, as well.
Also can
Yes.
Although you can still ask questions.
okay. Maybe I'll stop. Yeah.
Maybe take one more question.
Okay, take one more question. Yeah.
Yeah. How about the scalability?
Scalability.
Yeah, as compared to maybe other APIs, so scalability and even the load balancing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have some material, but it's not in my slide. Maybe I'll address that later. Right?
Sure.
Maybe after I finish, I think. I didn't expect the overwhelming response. Okay, let's move on first. We can ask questions as we progress. Okay, so this is a little bit a graphical idea of how Com works, right? So Com, in architectural sense, it is actually a reverse proxy, okay, which actually lies in between the client to the upstream service. So in between, right? Of course, in this layer, the reason why we need a proxy is to actually do some management in this layer, that task, Com being an API management gateway. So underneath here, right, is there are a few constructs, or we call it objects or entities in Com. We have the consumer. So consumer is basically how Com identifies users that's coming in. And then we have routes. Routes is actually the path that Com will take so that it knows how to route it to the service. Okay, so service is like a wrapper to the actual upstream API endpoint. Okay, and then we have a little bit of load balancing features within Com, which you can do like in between the services that you route to. Of course, on top of that, we have plugins. We mentioned about plugins earlier on. So, like for example, billing plugins, some security plugins as well. So that can be that all these use cases, right, can be established with the idea of plugins. And of course, differentiation between open source and enterprise. Of course, some of the more advanced plugins, right, that you might require for your organizations, that's only available on enterprise. And then of course, we have the admin API and then the UI for Com itself. And then most importantly, we are cloud agnostic, and then Azure definitely being one of them, right? And then I will touch on that further. Okay. All right, so this is a little bit more on the our SaaS solution called the Com Connect. Right, so Com Connects, right, very similar, right? I think earlier on we have a question on scalability. So this is, I think this is a good diagram to show that, right? We have basically Com itself, we have a concept of the control plane and the data plane. So data plane is the plane that actually handles the traffic that's coming in, while the control plane actually stores all the configuration. So earlier on you've seen all the services, routes, all of these constructs, entities in Com. All of these can be condensed within configurations under the control plane. So in terms of scalability wise, right, I can easily scale more data planes if I need to. Or if, let's say in situations where I need to handle more traffic, for example, I can easily scale the data planes. Right, so this is one part of the scalability side. Right? And then this is just our SaaS solution, and then which means that actually the SaaS solution and the architectural sense, this management plane is actually managed by us, and then you can choose to run the database anywhere that you want. Okay, but of course, we are actually publishing out a fully managed option. Even the database can be managed by Com itself. That will be released in the next quarter, right? And next year first quarter, right? So this is what we have in our plans, right? So to give the customers an option, right, to decide where they want to run their database. Okay, so plugins. So we spoke about plugins a lot. So this is actually the value proposition of Com, right? How you easily accomplish all the important API management use cases that you want to achieve on Com. So we mentioned about things like authentication. So API authentication, right, is a really key use case, right? I want to make sure that anyone who wants to call my backends, my upstream services with the API call is authenticated with at least some form of authentication method. So for example, OIDC, JWT. MTLS certificates. Right, so we have all the plugins available to support all of these use cases that you need. Of course, the typical ones like rate limiting as well. We have out-of-the-box rate limiting plugin. Okay, and then monitoring, we have plugins to do transformations as well. So all of these are out of the box, meaning to say that developers, they don't have to rewrite this part as part of their code. They can just easily plug and play and use it and achieve all of these important use cases at the gateway layer. Right? Okay, so back to the topic on running Kong on Azure, right? So we spoke about Kong being able to run anywhere. So in the context of Azure, this is how it would look like. Right? So essentially, we can run anywhere, and in Azure, meaning to say this is the example of running Kong on AKS, right, which is the Azure Kubernetes service. Right? And then of course, we spoke about plugins as well. So one of the plugins is OIDC plugin, OpenID Connect. So we can actually use that to point to our Azure AD, right, for authentication. That's my example. I'm going to show that now. I'm going to show that in the demo later. And of course, we have the Azure Functions plugin, which allows you to write some conditional functions in Kong itself to achieve your specific use case or sort of a custom-made use case. Right. And then of course, in terms of monitoring, you can use Azure Monitor to flush out. We have a plugin ourselves to facilitate that, right? To point to so you can flush your logs to your Azure Monitor, which is your managed Prometheus in Azure, so and so forth. Okay, right. So this is more in more detail, like a more production kind of setup. Of course, you're not going to activate all these Azure, functions that you have, right, or Azure features that you have, right. This is like a more typical architecture for Azure environment, right. So where you have Azure Load Balancer, and then you have Azure Postgres for replication across, let's say, a DR cluster. Okay, and then we spoke about the separation between control plane and data plane, right? So this is how you can do it on-prem. Alright, so demo time. Okay, so for the demo, before I move into it, just to give you an idea on the setup of my demo. So this is how I set it up. I'm running Azure on AKS. Okay, so and then I'm running KIC, which is Kubernetes Ingress Controller. So Kong, we support Kubernetes as mentioned. So we also have Kubernetes Kong Ingress Controller, right? If you want to use that, and then which means that you're actually controlling all the Kong assets via Kubernetes objects. Okay. And then as mentioned, I'm going to use the OIDC plugin so that I can do authentication via Active Directory. And then before the actual service routes to my backend upstream service. Okay, so simple demo, and then demo 2. Right? So this is more on the API management standpoint. So earlier on, I spoke about how Kong envision API management, right, to be done. So basically, this is the idea of what I call API ops, which means operating or publishing API from a developer standpoint, right? So once we basically develop the APIs via Insomnia, we can actually push out all the Kong configurations via a CI/CD pipeline. So in this case, of course, I'm going to use Azure DevOps and then Azure pipelines to help me to achieve that. And then ultimately, once all of this API spec is being published, right, it will appear on the Kong gateway with all the plugins enabled, all the services configured, and then ultimately it will be available on the Kong developer portal for consumers to pick and choose what API they want to consume. But of course, the backend of all these APIs, right, has been well configured via your so-called golden or CI/CD pipeline. All right. So let's go ahead with the demo. Okay, so I have my Kong manager here. Maybe before that, I show you the actually running. I'm not cheating, I'm running on AKS, right? If I get notes, I'm running on AKS. Okay. And then my Kong is running running as containers. As you can see here, I'm running Azure Postgres as well. Okay. So all of these endpoints is actually an egress endpoint. So if I get ingress, right? So all of this is being resolved to my ingress host. Okay, so that's why I can access it here. Okay. Okay, so this is how the com UI looks like. So it's a bit empty, right? So it's quite a clean condition. Okay, and then of course I spoke about the route services ideas, right? So this is how it looks like on com. Okay, so maybe let me just show you one from scratch, right? So how the most basic use case of com looks like. So I can actually create a new service, right? Let's call it like Azure demo. Okay, and then I can give it so this is like a sample echo service that everyone can access online. Okay. Okay, so this is a sample echo service that everyone can access. I'm going to use that as a service. Right, of course, in actual situations, this is going to be some internal endpoint, not some public endpoint. So for demo purposes, I'm going to use a public endpoint as an upstream service. Okay, so now I have my Azure demo service. So on top of that, I can actually create a new route. I call it demo route. And then the pathing can be as simple as, let's say, // test. Alright, so that's actually essentially all you need to do to configure a route, configure a service, to have the most basic setup of com. Right? So now, instead of providing this endpoint for the users to access, now I want to make sure that my users go through com, right? So I can actually try to hit com by giving them the path. So I have a proxy endpoint, right? So all com instances will expose a proxy endpoint, okay? And then the path, which is what I defined under routes, right? Earlier on, if you remember, right? // cast. So this is how com will actually recognize the external, the routing, and then routes to the actual service. So if I do this, now it route me to the correct service, but now it's actually via com, but not the actual endpoint straight away. Okay? So com comes in the middle, I go through com. Right? So this is the whole purpose of having API proxy in between. Okay, so this is a very basic use case, but of course on top of that, the whole reason why I need com, right, is to manage my traffic, right? I want to come in here, but within this layer I want to do some control. So that's where plugins come into play. I can actually configure a new plugin. Let me show a simple one. Let's say rate limit, for example. Okay, so I can actually set service layer or route level. Maybe I go route level. Okay, and then I can actually set limit by consumer, IP, service, so on and so forth. But let me go by consumer. Okay, and then I set go by IP. The same, right? So maybe I set a simple rate limit of 5 per minute, for example. Okay, adjust, and that's it. I have a plugin enabled, and then now, if I were to access this, right, I should have the rate limit quota enforced. So if I try to access it more than 5 times, I should get denied, right? So let's try to do that. Right, refresh a few times. Right, so now I hit the 6th time, and then the give me an API rate limit. So rate limiting is a very common use case, and then as you can see, it's easily achieved via plugin. Right, I just fill out a form, give it a number, the limit I want to enforce, and then that's it. I can shift this important use case. So that's why I was emphasizing plugins is is where the value proposition of COM is, right? Is help you to achieve all these important use cases and help you to manage your APIs via all these different plugins that we offer. Okay. Okay, so the other use case that I think is important is about security, right? So how do I enable something to link to my existing authentication methods? Okay, so we have a plugin for that, right? And then also you can imagine, right? I just add a plugin, I just point it to my authentication methods, and then I should get authentication enforced on my request. So I have already created a service called test, right? Similar as what I've done before. I've created a route for it, and then now instead of the real meeting, now I activate my open ID connect, right? So this points to my Azure AD. So if you take a quick look on the configuration, you see it points to my Azure AD. Okay, so now if I were to access this route, right, I should get redirected to my Azure AD for authentication before I can hit my upstream service. Okay, so I think I'll just use incognito for this because I have some cache. So now, if I try to hit the path, it will redirect me to authenticate first. Okay. Okay, so now only I need to be authenticated before I can hit my service, right? And then this is done again via a plugin, right? Okay, so that's all I have for the first demo. Now I have a second demo. Before that, maybe questions? Questions on the demo? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So many hands up. Okay. Yeah. Question? Yeah.
Does it support transformation on the fly?
Yes, we have a transformation plugin for that. Yeah.
About request and response.
Yes, request and response. Yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. The backend of this is actually a database to store the configuration. Because yeah, we also support DBless as well. The smallest deployment you need a DB, but we have a DBless small deployment, which means that all of this configuration can be compressed into a YAML file. So this is, if you want to talk about smallest, if you want to do away the database, you can as well. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yes, we have token-based authentication as well. So this is just one option. It depends on what you are currently using. And some organizations may be using JWT. Then we have token. Some want to use the OAuth 2 introspection. So we support that as well. Yeah.
Regarding the plugins, the so-called the hub, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone can publish their plugin.
Okay. We also support custom plugin. So actually you can write your own plugin and then upload it, because this is an on-prem instance, right? So you can actually upload it and then it appears on your on-prem plugin hub instance. Yeah. Yeah.
Kong has its own features, like customize its own API.
Customize API. You mean write the API spec?
Yeah, right.
Yes, we do. We have Insomnia to help you to write the API spec, but I'm going to show you a demo. Yeah.
Last one.
Last one. Okay. No more already. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for active participation. So. Okay. Yes. So okay. That brings me nicely to my next demo. Okay. So. Okay, Kong itself, right, we have a dev portal, right? So this is like a catalog of, so you pick dev portal, you can actually go to dev portal, I've reopened it here. So you can actually, publish your APIs in a dev portal as a catalog form, so that if you want to open up to any potential consumers to use the APIs, they can actually browse it through here, and then pick and choose, right? And then from there, maybe you want to do some monetization to track the consumption, so on and so forth, right? This is a quite common use case. So from here, right, all of these APIs are actually are here, and then we can actually build everything here. Of course, you can set some RBAC to make sure that some people only can see certain things, so on and so forth. Okay. Of course, all of these APIs that you see here are actually based on Open API spec. So any spec, Open API spec you publish on Kong, you appear here, and then people can see and choose basically. See, but then we have automated way of doing that. And so this is why the concept of this workflow, right? I want to make sure that when at the point of publish, anything that is seen on the dev portal, the backend of it has been configured nicely on Kong with all the, let's say, authentication I want, or the limiting I want, so on and so forth. Okay, so let me show you how all this works. Okay. So first of all, I have Insomnia, which is a tool for you to write your APIs or develop your APIs. Right. So this is where you upload your API, Open API spec. Okay. I think this is if you are into APIs, I think this is should be familiar to you. But the automated way of doing this, right, is to actually hook it up to a repository. Okay, so that you can push out all the CI/CD flow that you've seen earlier. So I've already set this up to use the way to put is to use okay, actually it's already pointed to my Azure DevOps repo in this case. Okay, so meaning to say any changes that I make here, I push, the pipeline will help me to do all the configuration on Kong. So this is like a sample DynoPark API. Right, which is like managing a Jurassic Park. For example, you can list the dinosaurs that is in there. You can create a dinosaur, right, so on and so forth. And then of course, under this IDE, Insomnia IDE, you can actually check out the warnings as you develop. Right, this will give you timely feedback, right, so that you can develop your Open API. And then of course, you get to see a preview as well before you get published. And of course, we also have functions to debug and test the API if you want to. Right? So if you want to test whether your API is working, you can go and try to hit do some testing on the debug tab. And then you can also write some test suites, right, to actually check as part of the API development process. So let's say if you are happy, right, with all of this, and then okay, I want to publish my new version of my API. Okay, just to again show you all this DynoPark API doesn't exist on my dev portal as of now. Okay, so I tell you that so I'm not cheating. I don't publish that in advance. I publish through Insomnia. It's not here. Okay, on the Kong itself, API gateway services, right? The DynoPark is not here. Okay, anything that I push through here will only have only publish once I push it through Insomnia. Okay, so let's say I'll try to push this as a new version. Okay, then I go through my usual commit and push process. Demo Okay, now I pushed it. Okay, so at the back end, of course, I have sorry. I need to run this. To make sure that okay, yeah. So it has taken the configuration. My agent is running at the back end. It has taken the configuration, and then it's trying to run the pipeline to publish all of this on my gateway. Okay, so if you want to see this running, you can go to Azure DevOps. Under pipelines, you should see something that's running. Okay, it just run just now. Right, so this happened on the push. Okay, and then this has successfully been run. So if you want to go in and check out what have I done exactly, okay, it is pipeline. So this pipeline is up to you to define, right? What steps you want to do. But in terms of the core related steps, deck is something that is more important. So deck is a tool, is the declarative tool. Right? If you remember the small binary diagram, there's a declarative configuration part, right? So this deck is the tool that is for deck, right? So I'm installing deck at Insomnia. So I'm doing some cleaning, and then I'm going to export the spec from Insomnia. So we have an Insomnia CLI, so it's doing an IMSO export. So from the OS spec that you see, right, the backend, actually I run the IMSO export it out. And then I'm going to generate a config, right, so that can take the config and then apply it on com. After that, I do some conversion, do some fixing, okay, and then I go and deploy. I go and do a deck sync. And then I'm going to publish the spec ultimately to my OS. So now, if I do a refresh here, I should see my Dynobug. Okay, yeah, my Dynobug again. Right, so this is something that I push via the CI/CD pipeline. And then of course, you can view it. It should appear the same as what you see on the Insomnia preview already. Something that's here. Okay, and then here, I refresh a bit so you can see that the Dynobug service has been published, the routes associated with it, and then most importantly, the plugins, right? So earlier on, these two plugins doesn't exist. Right? This is defined actually from the OS spec itself. Right? Plugin request validator, okay, and then some API key authentication. So this is actually defined from the point of development, API development. Okay, so this is how we can try to push for a whole CI/CD pipeline, and then how we build best practice, right? As to make sure that everything is aligned to what you do from development point onwards to publishing on gateway to being available on the dev portal. Okay. Alright, I think, yeah, maybe 5 minutes. Okay. Any questions? Any last questions? That's all I have for ComHub. Okay. No questions? Right, no questions. I think that's like.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for Raymond for this wonderful topic. And if you guys have any